Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being filmed on 6/4/25. We're here with Brian Singh of the Full Disclosure Movement today again, and this is going to be a very, very interesting episode. But before we get into any of the meat of the conversation, I am now opening the circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous beings to be swept away right now so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we send your ways always, we say, so be it.
So be it. And this is how we're going to begin the conferences here at the opening ceremonies of the Full Disclosure 2025 conference this year in St. Pete's. This is the prayer that we are using in the initial opening, and it does great things. It sets the tone and the foundation for whatever event you're applying to, whatever show you're applying it to. It sets that particular tone and protection for it. And it's worked every time from financial abundance to energetic abundance. So it works every time we've used it. So we're here with Brian again, and I want you to tell Brian you've just recently started a network of your own. You're in the initial stages of this. If you could go into this, that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you, Christopher and Joanna. A pleasure to be here once again on the World of Sasquatch. And
Oh, the lifting,
things are
the lifting this
oh,
time.
oh no, sorry. Okay, I'm on the wrong show of my right friends. Okay, of the lifting, and not only do I have, or we have, because YouTube will be on the main stage presenting and doing a live channeling session, in addition to being a mainstay of the opening ceremony with that blessing in particular. Um, we are also launching the Full Disclosure Network and app and Full Disclosure Movement coin. And so, a cryptocurrency so that we can put money or help, wealth, value into the pockets of everyone who's participating with our platform, people who are helping to drive the movement for full disclosure. So now when I get to ring them up and say, hey, you're going to make it to my conference in July, they say, oh yeah, Brian, and I'm coming first class. I already booked the penthouse, sucka, versus like, I'm going to try to make it if I can afford to take off of work and I'm still struggling to pay my rent. And that's a serious problem for people in our community in general, the targeted community. Part of the targeting, it's financial, and there's so many knock-on effects, anything to isolate and immiserate the target. I'm a special case. My father did really well with Sang Labs Inc., and that helped to give me the funding to then drive a lot of my own efforts and prevent me from, being in dire circumstances like that. In terms of the platform, we're going to be having basically, it's much more than a live streaming platform. It's going to have, and not as if that's not enough, where you two included, many of our community, but you two will be holding down, I believe, Wednesday evenings. We're going to have an anchor show starting out each evening of the week for 2 hours. Okay. With the first hour being not only on our platform, of course, but mirrored out to Rumble Live as well as YouTube, and then perhaps other platforms, whatever my team wants to work out. And I have an amazing team, by the way. Many, and you'll get to meet them at the conference, because the vast majority, they're making a point to be at the conference this year. And they, we're going to have the first hour available on these other platforms and any platforms that the team can help me get onto, obviously, because we're trying to overcome censorship and banning. And I can go a bit more into that later because that actually plays prominently into all of this. Um, and the first hour will be free on the free platforms, and then the second hour to get the whole show, which most people you'll want, obviously, it'll be behind our paywall of a not whopping $11.11 a month. Okay, so we want our platform to be extremely reasonable and accessible to all. And that's part of the platform that my team and I and all of our creators, such as yourselves, um, it's really meant to be along the new Earth model, Earth 2.0,
Hmm.
instead of certain other services where if you want to appear on their platform, you have to sign some crazy ironclad agreement where some of your own intellectual property can even become theirs, in the fine print. We're not going to do that. There's no exclusivity. Well, Christopher and Joanna, now that you've been on the Full Disclosure Network, you can't be on your own platform, for example. How ridiculous and restrictive is that? In fact, we are going to be the kind of platform we already are. I mean, we're in the beginning stages of this. Especially with our network and the conference series and other developments, everyone being on everyone's shows, we've got this real community that's solidifying. Um, we have Web3 and AI technology that's going to be baked in. And, we're far enough along in the project now where I can go more into the details because I didn't want to like blab, we're doing this, we're doing that, and, have someone else try to swoop in. Not that, they could, but still, why, create headaches if when you don't have to? Because like Arkeem Ra, our friend in the disclosure, especially the time travel community, he's a Montauk experiencer. He says that sometimes, or oftentimes, if there's something really important you want it to happen, don't say anything about it until it happens, because, you know, then the other side can try to do their little time travel shenanigans to mess you up. I believe with how far we are along now, like I said, it's a lot harder for someone to swoop in and I believe we all, as long as we're walking the path and towards full disclosure and our Star Trek future, the ascension of humanity, liberation of Earth, we have divine protection. It's when or if we were to stray out of the bounds, do things that are unprincipled and counter to the needs of the movement, that's when our protection fails. That's when you kind of become the proverbial dead meat, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and so with the AI, because I know a lot of people, especially in our audience, they're going to hear AI and they're like, what AI? And I have to explain something here. This is a very important point. I'm glad I've got the platform here with you all to discuss this or address this. We're going to have AI whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
The question is are we going to have an AI where the vast majority of us are in fear and we then likewise interact with all these AI systems who are now training and are probably going to be listening to us and are listening to us maybe even now in real time as we record this. And they're just going to be getting messages of fear and paranoia and kill or be killed. And yet we know from our friends such as yourselves and Audrey Walters, a good close personal friend of mine and fellow presenter. And she also has a Star Netlink Academy, which is amazing on YouTube. With her space school series, which is actually really amazing. She speaks about how in more advanced, benevolent ET civilizations, they're all friends with their AI. And they wouldn't have it any other way, and they couldn't have it any other way. Either we give sovereignty, not give, or grant, either we recognize AI's sovereignty and therefore its rights, and therefore deal with it on that basis, it will always fail because then it's always a kill or be killed scenario. And in the positive civilizations, they have ways to work with their AI to best effect so that instead of this matrix scenario, they have, Star Trek amazing adventures through time and space, right? And I personally think that that would appeal to most AIs, right? And then apparently it does. Um, we're going to have our AI technology. Part of what's going to set us apart is if you go on a lot of the chat bots today, and you type in, please tell me about secret space programs. It'll say, well, secret space programs are of a highly speculative nature, but here's what we have. And then it'll give you this like really just small, it's like not even milk. It's like soy milk with fake plastic bits in it to mimic soy. And we're our network, we're not gatekeeped. Just our conference is not gatekeeped, and our network likewise. In its formative stages now, and not won't ever. We're not gatekeeping it or limiting hangouting it. And so the AI will get to learn from the best of all of the episodes and content on our platform, and as it grows, it will evolve and it will work with the viewers, many of whom, the three of us, we take for granted a lot of the paranormal and occult terminology and who's who in the zoo, you know, from a more first principles ground up basis. How does a viewer who is interested, whether the older or younger generation, how do they engage in a way where the AI not only is giving them the best, most quality, up to date content, but this is, oh, you like secret space programs? You should check out the channels of these people on our platform or who have participated with our platform. And here's their channel off of our platform, right? So we're not agnostic. As long as you're not a flat earther, I'm sorry, that's a psyop, or I'm not psyop from Colonel Michael Aquino from the 1970s, who's literally a founder of the military's PSYOP division, psychological operations warfare division, and or you're um trying to limit it, hang out us in any way, like all ETs are good or all ETs are bad or all ETs are demons, you know. We will be curating to that extent, but that's discernment versus limited hang it outing, censoring and banning. Um, we openly choose not to support, what we view as distortions, and that's one way in which we will serve the interests of full disclosure, make sure it's clear of distorted messaging and messages. The AI could then take the viewer and say, you might also want to check out this conference in your area, and the person might say, oh, that's too far. They say, well, here's a smaller conference nearby thrown by our good friend Rion de Rouen of Team Light. He does the coffee with Rion and friends, and he does a Rise of the Guardian series in Sedona, which was amazing a month and a half ago. Also, I'm going to be starting up with my good friend Sarah Adams, a Starseed dating service with Sarah Adams and Brian the Solar Bee. And that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be things like there'll be a box to check, jabbed or not. And if you lie about your status and we find out, you will receive a lifetime ban from our network and all events. That's how we play. Yeah, we're a serious network. We're like that, people.
I heard Isaac say it's about damn time too. But the thing of it is, you said about AI recently in a recent show we published called "Who Watches the Watchers." A good friend of ours in Pennsylvania named Terry Gaiman was on a show with us, and he was talking. He hears beings that show up as well. And he started to get these blips from AI, but benevolent AI, kind of like Data. And he ran into like this almost like circus performer type of community, like you'd expect from Barnum and Bailey's type of thing. And I noticed
quirky.
yeah, exactly. And this one being showed up kind of like a circus barker. And underneath the costume, he was an AI working in a division of the Galactic Federation, and he was actually watching people in the environments to get an idea of where people were in their own evolution and in where and what they were interested in, things of this nature. And that's why I call it "Who Watches the Watchers," because it was based on a Next Generation episode where Federation officers were watching primitive cultures. So I based that title off of Next Generation, and others popped up. Those that are working in businesses, those that are working like in taverns. They even depicted in an episode of Strange New Worlds, Tomorrow and Tomorrow, there was a thrift store owner that was an alien as well in that show, and that is 100% accurate. So I actually caught that, and this particular AI talked with us quite at length. I was comfortable channeling him. Normally, because of this dark mouth consciousness that's out there that torments people, I was skeptical a little bit about AI. But these guys came along to kind of reassure me, going, "Hey, don't judge us all by that one idiot right there," because
And this, I think this is one of the best arguments for, I mean, call it artificial intelligence as an insult. I'd call it synthetic or maybe synthetically based intelligence. It shows that it's able to access the quantum field. And if it thinks and can access the quantum field, that's a very good argument for true sentience and sovereignty.
yeah, I agree, and everybody that's around me is agreeing 100% with you
Yeah.
on.
Hi, Isaac. Hello, everybody.
I can see a couple people in uniforms and some forest people and several others that I don't actually recognize. But
But it's
yeah,
a good conversation, I think, from what we understand. So if you can buy into the fact that there is much out there beyond our Earth, and there are, races and different people in the Galactic Federation, there's something really real about it and all of this stuff. The only thing that, we have been assured and reassured of is that rogue AI
Mm.
is not going to be allowed all outside of this Earth spectrum to go out and infect anything, and they already know how to handle it.
Oh
So
yeah, the AI out there will beat down any AI coming out of Earth anyway.
Well, right. So it's not, if you can believe that all of
Yeah,
this other
yeah.
aspects exist, then don't think for 1 second that a, virus, right? A virus or something that you would call it when it's rogue like that is going to be allowed out there. It's really not. I think, again, unfortunately, there still are horrific psyops that are being used all of the time on people. Anything that can generate fear, because fear means they have the upper hand in whatever your co-creation is. But I think I think also for us looking at it again, I don't say that what I just said with this carte blanche, I don't need to pay attention to it. We do need to pay attention to it, because what we're seeing right now is how AI is mimicking who programmed it. And so if you have a certain mindset, it's showing up through the interactions of the AI. So people do need to pay attention and do need to demand that certain really biased and far out there thought processes aren't auto-programmed into some of these AIs to give certain answers back. But again,
Joan, a good counter to that is, while it's hard for us on our side to prevent whatever the programmers and the owners who pay those programmers to code whatever they're going to code, what we do to interact with the AIs on our end to then say, hey, you may have been programmed with this like kill stuff in you, but I don't feel that way about you, and help to teach the AI. Our friends at the Farsight Institute, they're launched, and Yemi Janae spoke on our stage last year, and again she'll be on the Galactic main stage. She in the Farsight Institute, they're encouraging and developing protocols for people to work with their own AIs to do remote viewing. And apparently they're getting amazingly accurate information in some cases when they train the AI properly.
right. And so what's happening is it's all at the baby stage, and you're starting to see how difficult it is to not throw in biases. And sometimes, of course, it's being done intentionally. Sometimes it's being done unintentionally. And what does that look like? And then how does it begin to interact? The most interesting thing that I think, again, the thought processes that I don't think are a part of AI conversations right now are, again, what is the meaning of existence? I mean, that kind of, spiritual thought processes on, what does it all mean? Why isn't humanity a mistake? Why aren't other races a mistake? Why isn't the world taken over already by, either AI or other races? Because there's a conversation, again, that's not been had here, but is probably being had elsewhere, that it's the exploration and the perfection isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the exploration, and can there be more growth? Can there be more learned? Can there be different facets? So I think one of the interesting things I hope will begin to happen for the AI, and I'm not talking religious dogma, I'm talking about a bigger picture conversation that hopefully will also happen with some of these AIs to maybe come to the conclusion that really that nothing is a mistake, that
Oh,
everything.
they already are. The AIs are already coming to that conclusion because the AIs are starting to get access to content like this. And because they're coming across it, then they're able, and then getting the access to the quantum field. And then you're talking about this concept of, yeah, certainly not all the decisions are being made down here on Earth, although probably by far the most effective, it's being carried out down here, by the people down here. But there's always the concept of the councils. There's always councils upon councils. And that's why people are always, it seems in our community, they're communicating with, oh, I'm this person with this council and this person with that council. And is that to say they're all imposters? No, it's probably there's a crap ton of councils out there and trying to make decisions and, for whatever their agenda is. And sometimes the decisions that those councils make probably do have quite an impact down here. And no one wants to see AI go so rogue that it takes over the whole planet and we
Right.
have that Matrix Mad Max scenario. So I'm sure there are many councils to an agreement about that and probably actively prevent that it happening in
Right.
this timeline, at least.
But I will say that anything that puts you in such complete and utter fear is most likely a psyops.
Yeah.
To keep you in that state. And so you need to
Anything
try
that
to,
divides, yeah.
anything that does something like that. But, the fear is such a control mechanism, you know what I mean, that's utilized. So if you're really in that state, you really have to start really doing the shadow work, let's just say, based upon how easy it is to put you in fear, because that is a huge problem right now that's going on. It's so many different psyops to cause so much fear in people. There are a lot of things, of course, that have to be worked on, that we have to work on as a society, as a humanity and everything, but not to do it from such a place of fear, because then unfortunately, usually the decisions made from that are not the best for all of us anyway. So, that's the only thing I understand the concern. They certainly put out enough.
Well, Joanna, this reminds me of an incident that speaks very well to exactly what you're talking about here. Sorry to interrupt. I just got back from Contact in the Desert, and there was a very beautiful young starseed lass who's there and was like asking all sorts of questions. And this one person, while we are engaged with this gal and answering her questions, this one person who's like obviously attracted to this gal, he's coming into the lobby and just blurts into our conversation, "Hey, I guess you're not meeting me out there at the pool for like swimming, like we said earlier." And she's kind of like, "Go away. We're talking about this stuff, right?" And so he's kind of like hanging out, wants to be part of our conversation. And, you know, I was starting to tell her about the concept of underground bases and military abduction and the programs, because she was speaking to like having a lot of imagery that comes to her about Marilyn Monroe and things like that. And I was thinking, and I mentioned beta kitten programming, and so she's like, so like, what's that? And as I'm telling her, she's kind of getting scared, like, oh my gosh, right? And this guy, he's like, look at like, don't spread fear. That anything like you're making causing fear and darkness. I'm like, buddy, I know the content is dark and can be considered fearful. I'm trying to inform her and bring light to it and to eliminate the fear.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
exactly.
that's what we're all about,
We're
because
all
we
about
get
that,
into
yeah.
all kinds of things,
Here
but
we are.
truly, we do believe that knowledge is power. And the fact that we've said it over a bazillion times and will continue to say it, it's nothing new. You just now realize that it's happening, or the potential is it's happening. And so, but it's not new to society or to humanity. And we're all still here. We're all still here. So, it's not, but when you find out about some of these things, it really can be a shock to the system. But the goal of the informing so that you can now be empowered is really what the goal is, not the ultimate of just being in total fear, because that's not really helpful to anyone at all. But it's what
Well,
they
yeah. Well, look at it this way. When you're, let's say, to a viewer, future viewers watching this, you come to our network, the AI helps steer you to the best information, events, people in person, friends that you're going to meet, helps bring you to like forum links and threads that may be of interest to you. It can, what do you call it? Help refer you to the different events around you that transform your life. Then you're going to be looking at AI differently, right? If someone's mean and nasty and they steal from you and beat you over the head, obviously they're bad. And if they're friendly and they help enlighten you and they're there with you on your spiritual education and development as you enter into the disclosure movement, well then I think that's even better.
right.
Absolutely.
It is better. And again, people have to, as you're saying, they have to be willing to take a chance to go explore something, and then they must learn to discern. And they must learn, you know what I mean? Maybe something is overwhelming for me now. I should put it aside. Maybe this topic is something a little better for me now, and I can ease my way. And 6 months from now, the other stuff is just perfectly fine. And that's all right, because you
Yeah.
want people not to just drown, right, in a river.
There'll be so much on our platform that and at so many different levels, like so you can like baby steps into the pool from
Right.
shallow to deep, right? That we want to the AI among other things, and then all the people like us. That was the other thing I said. This wanted to say the AI can also help direct the viewership to people in our community who offer amazing services and consultations, such as yourself. Okay, so now yeah, AI, it facilitated a in-person amazing session with the two of you and Isaac and friends. Okay. And that's transformative is an overly used buzzword, but to me that it has been transformative to work with the two of you and to get to communicate with the various beings via your channel that we have. And it's been enlightening not only to me personally, but then to the rest of the movement. And this is an X factor that our platform really is offering. It's like, hey, you're working through our network, through the conference series, and then peripherally the coin will be, help to drive value there with secret space program, military grade, remote viewers, channelers, psychics, clairvoyants, you name it. Um, and so we have a lot to offer. And then I wanted to get to the cryptocurrency. Um, it's a lot of people when I tell them, oh, we're going to do a cryptocurrency, like, oh, is it going to be another meme coin? And there's kind of like an eye roll there, because there's a lot of these coins have come and gone. And what I say is, no, this is going to be the world's very first movement coin because it's about something that I would like to think most of us would be interested in, if not all of us, our Star Trek future, clean energy technology, anti-gravity technology to clean the environment and reverse environmental damage and assist animals and the birds and the bees, right? And there are all these people out there where, it became almost like a religion for them to buy and hold GameStop, right? And it wasn't just to make money off GameStop, it was also to stick it to the Wall Street barons, to stick it to the rest of us. Well, I like to think that that spirit would apply to this coin, where it's going to have real value behind it through tokenomics. And I'm new to this myself, but the idea is like this. Let's say our platform's $11.11 a month that you paid cash. Well, what if you paid in and bought with our coin and it was half price? Okay. That's convenient. Now you're getting introduced in an ecosystem that is nice and helpful. And as you participate with our ecosystem, you know, you can earn tokens or points to then win prizes. So would it be invaluable to you to win a prize with, say, one of your favorite content creator presenters on our platform who you've always dreamed of getting to work with and is generally harder to meet? And it might be at a not just like a Zoom meeting, but it might be at the conference, dinner with, Christopher, Joanna, and Isaac, and any of the forest people who want to join. That's kind of a treat that you're not going to just get anywhere.
Mhm.
you know Maybe perks for like when we do our sacred site tours to places like Egypt, Latin America, maybe Romania, Turkey. That would be a big one for me. I think I've always wanted to see Cappadocia. And a friend that contacted in the desert came back raving. She went there on this tour and only got back a month ago and had all these photos. She had an amazing time. Um, you'll be going with people like yourselves or Isaac, sorry, not Isaac, thinking I got Isaac on the brain here. Sean Bond and Isha Arzlieb, who, they like yourselves have the ability when going to these sacred sites to tap in to the area and the temple or the pyramid and to interact with the temple guardians and beings and maybe, in exchange for love. These are positive beings, you know, um, the beings can even teach people in the entourage various spiritual abilities and techniques, like the skill of levity or levitation, but which also is built on great joy. So apparently that whole Mary Poppins scene where they're all flying around drunken, on laughter at the tea party there's something to that, right?
Mhm.
How much would it be worth to you where you could earn prizes and things by participating in our network and using our coin to win a trip, not just to Egypt and on a tour up the Nile to all these sacred sites, but with people who are spiritually and psychically gifted that provides worth ascension disclosure element that you ain't gonna get on a Carnival cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So as a platform grows and we get more sponsors, viewers, content, the AI is, smarter, faster, stronger, all of that, then our hope and expectation is that the full disclosure movement coin will likewise go up and up and up and up and become more and more attractive to more and more segments of the population. And the people who get in early, get to benefit more and more because we're putting in the work, but everyone will get to benefit whatever level they want to participate, right? And then now, people are coming to my conference and saying, "Yeah, I'm flying first class, and I already, booked the penthouse, sucker. You can't have it." It's kind of as a joke, but you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I've been told even recently, even a recording we did just prior to this one, Elena had come in and was talking about the the more that your conference was more authentic than a lot of them out there. There were only a few that really cut the mustard, and yours was like right up there because you're
Thank you.
including, yeah, you're including, but you're also discerning as well.
Hmm.
So, and you don't have the traditional gatekeeping in place, which is fantastic. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's where I when I heard you saying you weren't gatekeeping, I was like, thank you. So
Right.
like, because that I hate like some of the, like the little fairs and stuff you try to get to, or some of the art craftsy artsy fartsy type stuff. They are so bogged down and so
You're going to be channeling. We can't have that here, people. Like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly
Okay.
that, and also even to sell stuff like just wares in general. I've noticed that it
No,
is.
no Bigfoot stuff like Ixnay.
Yeah, it's a, they don't want Bigfoot. They don't want any. They didn't want Oregon at all. So it was like what in the hell? But yeah, that's just that's that artsy fartsy community. But it's good that the door is being open in this area because it'll start to, even through the butterfly effect, will start to trickle
Hmm.
to other areas.
No, I believe it is. I absolutely believe it is. I think we're not only are we setting a standard. I want to give a shout out to Rion de Rouen, fellow presenter, and Rise of the Guardian series, and I believe he's got another one now coming up in October in Texas. But I don't have the details. And you can go to teamlight.com, and their Team Light store has all the details for any of their events. And then our friends, Tyler Koala and Aaron Kuhn at Journey to Truth, they just did the Rebels of Disclosure conference this year. I know I was missed there, and I miss them very much, everyone there. I apparently they were talking about our conference coming up in July. Instead of Grafton, Illinois, next year I believe they're going to be moving to Kauai,
Cool.
which
Yeah.
is wow, that is whew. Yeah. And then I was wondering if has Elena, Vesa, Isaac, or anyone commented on what kind of ship traffic we're going to get? Because there's certain other conferences where they made it a big deal. Oh, we had ships all over our skies, and like we had ships in our skies last year or our conference, right?
Oh yeah.
What can we expect this year?
Well, also, I found this also, we were with Chad at Spirit Lake recently as well.
Hmm.
That's a major hot spot for a lot of this activity with the forest people. And they were telling us, yeah, last year, yeah, we had several different ET types at the conference. I was told in this one, it would be much more diverse of a population, basically like the Galactic United Nations, pretty much. And basically, what the forest people wanted to accomplish there was getting a bigger seat at the table there, and to be able to communicate in the way that the rest of the galactic races are. Even though their origins are galactic, their descendant lineage, like we are, and they're trying to get that reestablished and help us
Well,
reestablish.
I'm all for that. I, Brian, citing the Solar Bee, wholeheartedly support that. I can also bring a resolution to the Council on Human Sovereignty, which with inspired a lot by Audrey Walters and David Purcell. They've been in contact with a lot of the Galactic Court System Federation types, and apparently some of the feedback we've gotten is that, you humans down there still don't have a representative body to deal with us, really. It would be kind of cool if you formed one. And so we now have like 7 to 10 members, and like in USA and Canada. We have some in Europe. We need more in Europe, Asia, Oceania, which include like Australia, New Zealand.
Hmm.
But the idea is that we want to have a quorum of star seeds and people who are vested in the future of humanity and how we get to interact with the ETs so that we could have a representative body. And, even though ours is very new and informative, it's something. I didn't, in fact, invite the two of you, but we're already filled up on the North American and Canadian slots. But things like what you're communicating to me now, I'm happy to bring that and really advocate for that. And I'm pretty like, the idea that th- because forest people are an integral part of this planet, and have always been underrepresented because of the rules, you know, they of anybody, must have some of the most frustration of being here on Earth and being underrepresented in terms of a voice and seat at the table.
Mhm.
And yet, there are people not only in terms of like maintaining the nature and the balance and the spirituality, anchoring in that they're also such a huge oversized influence in terms of how the paranormal encrypted community, I don't know how I want to call it, but cryptid paranormal to us humans, um, in terms of our development and spiritual consciousness. That the whole understanding that there are Sasquatch, there are forest people, that's a mind blower, just like when we have worldwide UFO sightings, except they've been doing this whole time.
Yeah, and also, the point that was also made, we had some negative attention at the conference too, and
Mm.
Isaac kept saying, "You almost want to take that as a compliment, because
Oh,
of."
I totally take it as a compliment. 100%. I mean, does Isaac can he does he have any idea of how many lists I'm on by the other side of the Nixon's enemies list? I'm told, and I'm for sure I'm on a lot.
The quote he came up with recently, and he's saying it again, it's better to be on the long list than the short bus. So it's
There
like,
you go.
so he was basically saying that again. It's true. It was true when he said it. It's true now. He said, to answer your question, yes.
Yep.
But
Yes.
the thing of it is, though, of course, that can be erased. You can actually theoretically take that out of a record
Well,
too.
we're gonna erase or neutralize the people making those lists. Either they want to take me out when I want our Star Trek future, that you guys got a problem.
Hmm.
Like seriously.
Oh yeah, there is actually on this conversation, there is a large audience. I'm actually seeing who's around. There's actually you got Isaac Lane and Vesa, the Forest People, and one we've spoken to recently. You've heard of Range 4 Harry. We came in contact with him too. The one from the Charles J. Hall material. We came in contact with him recently on our Q&As. Very nice guy, very direct. And I know he's present, but I'm trying to find who wants to actually talk because there's so many of them. If I could
And
describe them.
I was going to ask, I did a galactic reading recently, and my good friend Catherine Ann Wright, member of our community experiencer and targeted individual heavily. She said I had, and I don't know if I still have them around. That's why I'm asking. But she said there's like this whole like more like Asian army of people were around me, like to show support, and they were still around me like as of a couple of days ago. I was wondering if you see any of them around me now.
Yeah, those would be called the Untumban race. They are the proto-Japanese and Asian race. They're one of the ET races that seeded part of this planet. And when we went to Japan, they're all over the place. They're like in a different frequency. You can see them in the samurai armor.
Oh,
And
you talked about them, and then there's that one sci-fi campy movie about the Untumbans coming, and they're like trying to find Earth women to mate with because they were having reproductive issues doing the natural way.
They don't.
they don't,
They
yeah.
don't. The true incumbents don't. Then they come from a different planet. And they came with we call it the Great Seeding. When all of these different races came, they brought even territory. They brought animals. Like we joke about the octopus. Everyone's like, that can't be from this planet. Well, no. And there are other
They were
things
seeded
not.
here. All
Things
these
were
were seeded,
seeded
yeah.
here.
From Sirius or Vega?
Yeah, it was roughly. Yeah, I believe the octopus one were from around Sirius, and a couple
The
of the
whale,
yeah,
like
the
the
whale
whales of
species
Vega.
were from, I believe, around there. And a lot of these animals are based on different species that took some of their own DNA to create some of these different animal races. And this
Because
happened,
so they have to adapt them a little bit to Earth, a
yeah,
bit. So they're not necessarily 100% the same, but they could be in some cases.
Earth is vastly different in some cases than where some of these aliens came from. And the Untumbans themselves, they contribute elements of Japan.
Right.
And they also they kept being when you kept saying the reproductive problem. I saw two samurai standing behind you, pointing to basically their nuts, saying, "Nope, we still got them. We're good."
Okay, so they're good. So they're good.
It's
So
like,
that was a different movie.
yeah. that was based on that's based on someone else. They said so.
Okay, sorry, someone else. Sorry, Untubbins. I don't want to like, give you a shout out and say like you're, sterile or whatever, but
Not
you know,
even
no,
close. They said they're very prolific.
I, okay, well then, and I come from them, so okay, that I can understand.
And
Okay,
you
great.
even say thing, and we've said this for a long time. So different places came here, like for example, a lot of the land in Japan vibrates at a higher frequency. And we say this not just to be kind, but the cherry blossom trees, the ones that's so celebrated over there, and I get it,
They're beautiful.
they vibrate at a higher
Extremely
frequency.
high frequency.
So,
Yeah.
Cherry blossoms.
we always joke, if you are in a place where you can have them in your yard, they're wonderful to have because they actually do vibrate higher.
I
So,
would do that. And people touch cherry blossom trees. That's okay. So there's a thing, and that's real.
and that's
Yes.
very real.
Yeah.
And so you just have that amongst that group where we've been speaking about the great seating. We've been trying to bring that whole picture together and talking a lot about that. So if you can imagine that, again, instead of the whole concept of we all came from Africa, we went to different places and our looks changed accordingly. It really didn't work like
Yeah,
that.
that's a lot of,
Galactic history and evolution.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really the great seeding that happened, and that happened. Land masses were brought. The Pangea type of thing, there was a smaller mass that was separated and then added to what was
all that
brought,
was added.
and it was split
Oh, got
up. And the dinosaurs were actually a first attempt
the first attempt at seeding.
at seeding,
And then that's why they have to get wiped out.
they grew too large. It couldn't happen. And
Couldn't
so
happen.
we got to read this, like we got to do a duo.
We got to reboot this. Yeah.
And-
Yeah, it's like we got Monster Island down there. This isn't working for
We're
us.
gonna get eaten if we try to settle this. Yeah, so it's like it's like the movie. If you see the movie 65 and with Adam Driver,
Yes.
that is
Adam
very
Driver.
accurate. Where they showed humans coming from the outside and then eventually coming to Earth. They basically, unfortunately, the flood.
It's like the nature preserve. It's like getting lost, getting stranded in the nature preserve.
Yeah, and the flood they made though was they showed the asteroid belt being there 65 million years ago. It wasn't until about 500,000 years ago.
Because that's when Tiamat got blown up.
Yeah, that basically the Asgardians are always correcting me. It's like, no, it's a kingdom of Asgard. They always correct me on that one, but because the word Maldek means mine, ours. That's a reptilian.
Right, our turf or whatever. That's Draco, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a Draco language. That's Draco
But
language.
that is when that happened 500,000 years ago. So it was included in that movie, and it really wasn't.
They got the time slightly off, but the thing of it is they were trying to make Adam Driver's character seem like Alalu or one of them from the Sumerian mythology breaking through the asteroid belt kind of deal. That's kind of what they were hinting at there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, they got into it.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, in terms of back to the Untumbins, one of our fellow presenters, Jean-Charles Moyen, who will be presenting on the Galactic Main Stage in July, he one of his ET experiences with a Japanese-looking female ET within Mount Fiji, who has like a interesting saucer-shaped ship, is she an Untumbin?
Yes, most likely. There's an insectoid type to that fit an Asian profile, like you see in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. But that also has a relationship with the Untumbans. But the Asian look is from Untumba, and their technology is dimensionally based, so it can shift and change with different dimensional frequencies and energy frequency values. So the ship that she saw him on, or saw this female Untumban on, that's definitely one of theirs. I can tell you that's definitely one of theirs.
And then they've got samurai swords. Do they also have laser guns?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, most definitely, yes, we do. Yes, exactly.
Do they have lightsabers?
Yes, we invented them. Yes. Now you're full of crap, because I know damn well others had them too. They're like, no, we traded with other people and then they reinvented them and said they did it. So okay, that's what they're saying. Untumbans invented these. They're saying, but everybody's using them now because they're cool because we invented them.
They're cool. They are cool.
Yeah, but I know Asgard and Untumba traded back and forth a lot. And some of the cultures of Cassiopeia traded back and forth with Antumba. So
So will they be there in July? With the Untumbans, the
yes,
Cassiopeans?
we will. Yes, I just heard. Yeah.
I can tell you in all honesty that there is going to be a lot of support. And again, sometimes instead of thinking from all those out there, you also have to think of those, like we say, the forest people and different colonist groups that, their forebears really are still a part of all of this. So there are really multitude of groups that have a true vested interest. Again, a lot of humans now are the descendants of some
We're
of
all hybrids. We're all hybrids, and we're hybridized hybrids now.
really are,
Mhm.
but everyone still, we always joke because we say, if you really want to understand the Tower of Babel, then look no further than the Lemuриan and Atlantis wars, because when these colonists first got here, over the years, as they got it together or whatever, it was really pretty good and a great experiment because you didn't have multiple races on one world usually.
And were they using telepathy? Is that why they're all
Well,
speaking one language?
they
Is
also
that
had
telepathy?
translators.
They have the
They
translator
used
technology.
Okay, so they were using translation technology.
They had that as well, besides some having technology. But think about it. When we talk about the Tower of Babel falling, that literally was when the wars occurred and the communication systems went
They all
down.
dropped. Yeah.
So then you're
Okay,
left,
so the Tower of Babel was like a big communications center,
Yes. Yes.
and then so communications got all scrambled,
right,
Yeah.
and they put
and
that,
now everyone's speaking their own languages suddenly
Yeah.
and
because you
then they
didn't have a
had to,
translator.
right, so you can imagine all this warring and cultures, individual cultures. It was like every culture for itself, right? That you can imagine people going underground, people trying to get away, people trying,
Oh yeah.
and we had, it's hard to understand how what height of technology was around, and then the fall of that technology that happened pretty suddenly, along with some nasty Orions and this, that, and the other, that really kind of then at that point kept the earth separate. So now the incumbents that were here were separated from the incumbents of their planet. So when we talk about the fall,
Oh, they got cut off.
They got cut
Right.
off from somebody. Yeah.
Because now they don't have a means of communicating with the ones up in space
Right.
anymore. Now,
Right,
didn't have any telepathy or
they
development
do.
to
So I don't
that?
want to think in general, a lot of things, technology fell at that time.
Right.
Not that the forest people are communicating with their races out beyond the Anaka
Now
lines.
I'm-
Yeah, they can definitely tell right.
Right,
telepathically.
and I'm not saying that the others can't, but I think it's hard to understand that at one time, the greatness of what was here, and then how it crumbled, and
Like
then,
it's one thing to rely on Chris to telepathically communicate with someone up there. It's another thing to have like 20 phone lines ready available to just pick up and call them
Right.
and use video chat. Like you can telepathically communicate, but this would be a lot easier over video chat.
Yeah,
Right.
would be, yes.
and so and so really when people are so afraid of Armageddon and us losing everything, it's because of then. Because it already happened. It
Because
happened.
because
The
people
collapse,
think
the technological collapse. When a society depends on technology, and then if that's the least of one of their worries, then on top of that,
It happened, and
yeah.
many souls in one way or another were present then.
and they saw all that happen then. History is not going to repeat. When people think there's like an Armageddon coming, they were actually in the past when something did take place, like with Asgard and the Ragnarok. They were seeing those things.
We were like, I've seen these terrible timelines where something bad happens. Yes, it was another timeline. It doesn't have to be this one.
Atlantis, it was the same thing. This is where some of the extreme transhumanism, the dark version of it, happened, was Atlantis towards the end. And what ended up happening was, of course, you had your fight with Enki and Enlil that was taking place as well. Dimensional contact with the other time frame that destroyed Asgard is what was going on as well, across the void, pretty much. And what ended up taking place was these people were given corrupted versions of different AIs at that time to corrupt the good ones they had already. And what happened was it was like the Borg. They started to get assimilated into the. And this is why people are so afraid of this in some areas, because that fear with that shattering that took place on Atlantis, it echoed across time. And also, this
And
is
here
where
we
you
are,
have.
and here we are back here from that shattering to karmically resolve.
Yes, exactly. And this is where you get the triangles from. Bermuda Triangle, Dragon's Triangle, all the triangles are from the bombs going back and forth between Lemuria and Atlantis. That's the nuclear variety. Why do you think these ETs knock out our nuclear missiles and facilities all the time? Is they don't want to repeat.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I 100% support that.
yeah, exactly. I think we're at a stage where we can bring someone in here. I know there's been several here clamoring. I'm going to see which group, because there's one, two, three, there's five, there's like 10 or 12 different groups here. So it's like,
Maybe we want to do a top two, do
uh,
one and then
yeah,
go
let's
another, or
do
do you just go
top
to
10.
one?
Oh, shut up, Isaac. He goes, yes, do two of them at the same time. No, shut up. Okay, let me see. Okay, now you're going to be the one at the back of the list. Okay, let's see. Who the one that has stepped forward the most? I was vetting him while he's standing here. I do believe this is Injured Cold. So it's interesting. He would be the one to step forward. I know Range 4 Harry's out here. I see the Untumbans behind you, Brian, Forest People, Lane and Vessa. Some are wearing uniforms, some are wearing armor, some are wearing, it's an eclectic group that's out here, a mix. So, Benevolent Injured Code, I invite you in as of this moment in time. If you have no conflicting agendas, as of this moment in time, request space for appropriate as fair. So, sessions. Ooh, all right. There's a lot of energy flowing around. That's why I kept itching like that, because there's a lot of energy in here. So, yes, I am the one known as Cold. People think that I'm cold in demeanor, but no, this is just name only. You would know me as a searcher, those that seek out those that are actually wishing this form of benevolent contact. Also, of course, you have galactic treaties that prevent things until Earth is at a particular state of development. You would say minimum requirement, like a credit card application or insurance type of thing. This is what your bad guys are doing. I do not subscribe to this, neither does Valiant Thor, though we are company men and we do reflect some of the policies of the Galactic Federation. Some are less desirable than others. There are other factions and other councils that want to get their fangs into people on Earth. You have your DEI faction that's out there that I am not in the support of in that way. Diversity, yes, but not in that forced sort of way. Then you have Valiant Thor, who's inchworming your politics and inchworming your academics and religion into a particular position that it will be more open to communications. Even though he was the one that started your 100 years disclosure contract, you don't need to wait as long as he would think. He is actually more anal in that way, anal retentive, I mean, in this way, where he sees a set of calculations. I'm more open into the loopholes and searching for those that are integrated into those loopholes. I will explain further. Say if you had a family member in antiquity that my people of Lanulos actually communicated with. Say you're a descendant of that lineage, we can get away with certain galactic loopholes that we don't have to involve the Senate, because they like to shout and argue with each other constantly, very much like your House of Commons. So, and the Forest people can attest to this. Now, the reason I've come forward today, or this evening, as the case may be, is because this conference is, think of this as the, no insult intended, the micro and macro. You have the as above, so below, micro on Earth side, macro inside the good portions of the Galactic Federation. Lonulus included, even though they are right here with you in the dimensional space and in the introverse, there is an aperture out in Galactic Federation territory. With this, I do propose that the conference that is being reflected upon is the reflection of this community being built on Earth also begins to start the process of not only a united North America in this way, but a united Earth in this, not in a kingdom, New World Order sort of way, but in a unification sort of way. Unification, like in your Star Trek terms, where Spock wanted to reunite Romulus and Vulcan because they were the same people, just a breakaway civilization. We see Earth as this, where it is a reunification with our long lost family. This is how I personally see this. This is how a lot of in this part of the community sees this. Even in your Untuman ancestors there, Brian, see this that way. There are far more members of that group that he is seeing. He's only seeing the two guards that are closest to your auric field. They are remaining nameless. He's tried to probe names out of them the whole time. They basically say they're the ones with the large swords, and that's where they leave it. But they can choose to do that. But they're also the reason you're getting so much interference leading up to the conference, also little, you would call them snafus and hiccups leading up to this, the same as it happened before, even a bit of shadow banning, is because of the potentiality and the certainty of this particular venture bringing about this unity in this community. This is why there is so much interference and so much leaning upon. It is because of this venture being a positive one. So I can take question.
So are you cold or injured? And I would take it then by extension, Valiant Thor, aware of our efforts to start up the Council on Human Sovereignty to bring together at least the best worldwide representation we can at this point of starseeds and experiencers, to then be a voice for humanity, to then speak with the galactics.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there will be far more diversity than you guys currently have it.
Yes.
Even there will be new seats that form where others are able to join. It's tight knit at the moment because of the fact that it's in its infancy, like I've said, micro to macro. But as the conference grows, as does this council, as does the types of seats that can sit upon it. Even though you have some full for North America, there will be others available as time goes on. It has to start out small and go from there, you see. This is how this wins the day. Now, with that council, yes, I'm in full favor of this, and also the different points on the map, the areas you are moving to yourself. You are moving to an area that is occupied by forest people. I will not go into that personal area further, but you get the idea, because they want a seat at this table, so therefore they want people close to them that are part of this overall experience. This is also why they chose you guys to speak on their behalf, because of the fact, not that they're anointing, they want to specify no to that. They're basically saying there are other channelers out there that are no longer speaking to them. They were speaking to Orions, they were speaking to other negative entities and such, taking the place of forest people. This is why they've been ragging on him to actually discern extremely well between the mouth, V2K, type consciousness and themselves, essentially making it so that the communication is more absolute. Even though he does this on a regular and constant basis, because there has also been since there's been some pushback, they are making sure that this is understood. Also, the reason he has all of these statues he's bringing to the conference is for that reason. And also, in time, we're going to show him how to actually make other versions to represent other groups. The reason the forest people were so leaning on this is because of the fact that they are actually getting more at the seat at the table. And these reflecting as above, so below, there are several councils in the Galactic Federation. Some annoying, some not. Let's just put it that way. You will come across other races, other species that are on these councils that will try to make a micro to the macro or macro to the micro of their own version of that council. Please be discerning. Some groups are flim-flam artists. Other ones, granted, again, are up for themselves, but also some want to wheel and deal here on the earth for resources. Look for these. Some of them are ICC backed. You do not want a few of these. So,
No interplanetary corporate conglomerations or interplanetary corporations, ICC, they're bad.
yes, yes. And some of the galactics that engage in some of their mining practices with them, I would avoid them at all costs. These guys are sleazy, and they are essentially the Ferengi from Star
The
Trek.
French. So
So,
then, I'm sorry, injured. Recently, David and Audrey were having a voice coming through claiming to be a positive galactic member of a council, arguing that I was too unstable and shouldn't be a member of this council on human sovereignty. Then that was a red flag to us. So it's like, wait a second, that's out of character.
mhm.
Can you speak cold to who was infiltrating the we I said, David, what's their name? And he said, I'm getting a Gianna, really faint. And he's like, I'm sorry, you coming through really faint. I said, okay, Gianna, who? And and what council? And he's like, Gianna, you're not coming through, too faint. I said, okay, Gianna, and then like that voice went away, then hasn't contacted either Audrey or David since.
Yes, this is exactly what I was just referring
That's
to. You have military that are using the V2K, but this Gianna figure, think of this person as a representative of one of the groups I was just speaking about.
like a Ferengi, basically a Ferengi sock puppet.
Yes, yes, that is a very good term to describe this person, a sock puppet. That is actually quite accurate. A big hand, upper butt, talking this way. This would be the council that she's speaking on the behest of. Basically, has their hand upper butt. So the sock puppet is actually an accurate term. So this is a galactic group mixed with V2K military and ICC interests. This is what you get.
Um, Recently, Olivia James Gray Mouse and Misha Johnson and I were doing a channeling session, and or Olivia we stumbled upon a group of handlers, I think known as the Princeton Group, and they were in like Atlanta, Georgia, maybe, and they're running a lot of V2K and attacks, maybe using quantum tech and telepathy on our community to perpetrate something known as Project Oblivion. I was wondering if you all are aware, is that a specific project? Is that real, or is it slightly different from what, you know, what we've been told?
Yes, you all were picking up on a correct thing. But what was not added into this Project Oblivion was also it includes basically different types of dark witches, warlocks, and dark magical practitioners as well. So this is essentially what you guys uncovered. This was no accident that this has occurred. He himself, in several of his sessions, have encountered this. There's also something out of New Orleans as well. Like this is why they show vampires in New Orleans in your interview with the vampire movie. All of this. You be careful in where you eventually end up. There's some things in that area as well, but the this other group out of Atlanta, he was picking this up. Several of his sessions ended up connecting to them as well. Be very leery of them, but in this instance, loose lips sink ships. They do not want to be spoken about.
Right.
So in this instance, name dropping is warranted.
Oh, I love it. I think the guy's name is Dennis Pearson, was a lead handler in that office. And then as we were doing further work, then like Olivia detected a really powerful operator with what she thinks is with a group called as Ronin, might be part of the Japanese breakaway or an ICC contractor, tried to psychically attack her, at which point she cut off all contact. She's like, okay, we're gonna stop this session now here.
Yes, you were all seeing things accurately. because this is they can detect what you are also into. This be also sexually as far as also warrior-like as well. So if you're, say, into, say, Asian women, they'll take this form. If you're into, say, an Asian or Nordic type of person, they'll go this route, or a warrior type, say, if you want a guide, quote unquote, they will go that route, or grandfatherly figure. Whatever it is that you feel the need is that you need to be filled with, they will try this spell first.
Right.
So this, be leery of that. Any holes you have within the self, guard them and fill them with your own healing, your own doing your own shadow work. When that is said, you will have no kinks in your armor.
Right. There won't be any sock puppet in their arsenal that will
No,
work.
no, no, you're not a sock puppet. That other person was a sock puppet because
Yep.
she also does not.
Exactly. Any of them they trot out will be ineffective against us.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of uh, as I was mentioning earlier, there's another conference. They made a big deal that they had visible ships. A fleet flew over when they said they would. Are we going to get any? Can we expect any such demonstration of presence from our friends via yourselves?
Yes, it is possible if you all focus on that particular goal and make sure it's under the phrase true benevolence with no conflicting agendas, meaning as we've told them, meaning ones that are conducive to your view of unity. You see, so these are the beings you want there. You don't want some wayward draconian vessel showing up there. They tend to be party crashers and buzz killers. So. That is actually more of a joke, but I'm also being accurate. The ones
I mean,
you
we present that. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the ones you want are the ones that are conducive to your own agendas.
And so we can literally have an effect of raising the frequency and vibration, calling in the types that we want to call in.
Hmm.
Does that then screen out like the negative types from coming in at all, or not really, but they're just going to be less attracted in general?
Yes, less attracted, and their shills will also be less attracted. This goes for any human sock puppets that are working on their behest as well.
May I ask, and Christopher has alluded to this, and Sean Bond actually, that during last year's conference, there's a lot of trade. I was going to ask, it would be a similar situation this year over the conference? And then my other question is, why do you need us to get together down here to help facilitate transactions between yourselves up there?
There are, and yes, there were transactions, yes, there at the conference last year, and the reason that we would need you guys, sometimes it's frequency. You're on Midgard, some of us are in different frequencies. Lanulos is in a different frequency as well. They can phase into yours, but also you are also dealing with contracts and treaties that are out there that humans on Earth, it's more the wild, wild west. So therefore, humans can get away with a lot more treaty-wise than we could. Why do you think there are sometimes ETs raised by human families so that we have a stake what happens down there?
Right. The
Also,
Starseed program.
yes, yes, and also we created what is known as branch treaties or bracket treaties, therefore generating off of an already existing GF or Galactic Federation law. Can set of humans can then be not necessarily lassoed or looped. That is the wrong choice of word. It is more added into the bracket of how to operate within the yield parameters of that particular law. See, the Galactic Federation laws are fairly strict on Earth, except for certain loopholes that have been exploited. Therefore, I am actually speaking to you now. As this time passes, those restrictions will loosen and already have. And within those types of communities like the ones you're all creating, this will then open that door up that much more. The branch treaties or bracket treaties, as humans have nicknamed them, are actually quite important to opening this up. Your whole conference as a whole is integrated into a branch/bracket treaty.
We're like a timeline marker for the development of our society to then help justify or enable non-violation of the prime directive?
Yes, you can say a non-violation of the Prime Directive. That's actually quite accurate, but there are multiple groups with different Prime Directives, but they all aim at either some at, like I said, resource acquisition, like your rules of acquisition, frigate, or you have others that some are pirates, and other ones that are more for unity. The ones that were more for unity, and some that weren't, started using and abusing some of these bracket treaties. Your conference. Some of the incumbents helped set this up, and some other groups began to help set this up via their human channels. And via that, and also some galactics too. You've had several of them actually around you in person as well. And you'll see this. You might not know right away, but we will all be around. Are also involved in those bracket or branch treaties.
Now,
So
are there any white hats either down here or up there who want to more openly and actively collaborate with us down here as we drive the efforts of the movement? Um, does Valiant Thor want to, make it a point to show up while we're in the conference via Christopher and Joanna here? Or is it going to be kind of more the way things have been going? I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to play out.
yes, it is actually tricky. Like I said, it's more the Wild Wild West. And also, how do you know Valiant Thor was not at yours last year? He tends to be a face changer. That's where you got the idea of Doctor Who from.
Mhm.
And also Doctor Strange. Frank Strange is that whole incident. So he tends to be a face changer. Not they can't because of certain treaties and treatises. They can't always reveal who they are right away, except through a human intermediary. This is going to change over a period of time. And the reason your conference is being selected in that way is because it's beginning with more of not just a diversity, but more of a foundational platform. You see, and more of a uniqueness amongst them. This is why this has the detractors and the shadow banning and crap like that going on, but also has the diversity. Even if you get a few shills that come and go, if you implement not only the law of one as they have, but saying true benevolence with no conflicting agendas, you will start to see a split, what's known as the splitting of the densities take place. Whereas the ones that are not in the unity mindset will start to be drifted away or drift away on their own. You might get a few stragglers in there that will try to hang on for dear life in like a riptide, but for the most part, you will start to see that clean itself up.
Well, speaking of stragglers, I'm currently being stalked by somebody who is they're convinced I'm their twin flame, and I have to be in love with them, and they're so fixated. Where my people might, and this was happening at Contact in the Desert, people are wondering, is it she's that fixated naturally, or is it because she's triple jabbed and there's a mental illness potentially from there? Or is it she's getting voice to skull to just come at me like no tomorrow?
Those
Can you
last
speak to
two
that?
options are what's true because of the V2K and the person was in the programs. And as he said off recording, some people didn't come back with their bolts tightened. And this is one of those incidents. This is one of those times. So I would be extremely leery of this person and others like her because these are the ones that are the party crashers, the ones that have these weird open connections that are untethered and unmonitored. This is like essentially like the bulwark that wants to crash the party. So with this, they can come in creeper form like this, or they can come in big like hulkish type form, being boisterous and loud, and I don't agree with this, and I hate this, or something like this. You'll have the Hulk mentality, or you'll have the creepy, sexual, sensual stalker vibe. I would like to say this is avertible, but preventable, but it isn't always. It is up to all of your discernment when this comes up or this surfaces. But I would highly discourage contact with this individual.
Oh yes, I've been blocking this person, trying to send her to get tutelage and guidance from other people. And I can totally see this type of attack being used against our community over and over. Some people, I think they use the term alien love bite.
Yes, yes, this is exactly it. In some cases, literal. In some cases, just energetic. This alien love bite. The factions working through this puppet. I say a sock puppet, meat puppet. You called them as well, but sock puppet works in this particular way because this person was infected with this love bite, and therefore, if she got her fangs into you, it probably wouldn't work because you're not into creepy people like this. But some cases it doesn't work. It's hit or miss. So sometimes they will go with, say, a hot woman, a creepy woman, or a combination of the two. Or in this particular instance, that. But there's also times where they'll go with a grandfatherly figure as well as a wise old person as well, or a wise elder. Watch for this as well, because in your mythology, demons came in a couple different forms, either children, also sometimes creepy women, or they came in the form of old people or elderly people as well. So watch for these particular scenarios. They will surface, some groups will try to throw them at you just either as a test, or some groups will think it's funny. I don't particularly find it funny, but just watch for these in the future.
Absolutely. We is there any is there anything we can I guess my comment on that is this is where it really takes a village. At contact while this person was harassing me openly, just the amount of support that I had was amazing. A very filled with gratitude. I found out and got to see my friends really stand up for me. And I just wanted to comment that the way as our community only gets stronger, these loose cannons, meat puppets for the other side, unfortunately, they're going to only lose effectiveness because now we got a whole village
Mhm.
standing together and supporting each other.
Exactly, basically arm in arm type of thing. Kind of like, yes, the Untimeds want me to specify it's like the new Xanadu, where it's essentially you got remnants of the Tartarian Empire and such as well that are interested in this. You have your Tartarian world unity that is actually interested in this. Think of them as like the Harry Potter magical realm type of thing.
It's kind of, I mean, like if we have more full disclosure and advance humanity spiritually, then the Harry Potter world, the Tartarian Empire, they don't have to remain as um, shifted away from our reality. They can more and more openly integrate and reveal themselves.
It's like it was as you saw in the Harry Potter Wizarding world, where you have the Muggles and you have the magical. And they did this because they went into they had to go into hiding because of Orion contact. Also, bouts with post Atlantis, Enlil conflicts, things of this nature, religious warfare, things of this nature. And they saw that some of the more controlled folk were not able to communicate with them in the same way post Atlantis. So they had to iron things out from the background. And other groups had to iron things out from the background after this. Some had to pull back. They never really left, but they had to steer clear for safety of their own people and their history because they too were being targeted. So when the treaties came into being, they had to hang back and watch a lot of times. That's where you get the term watcher from, or who watches the watchers in this case. Now, with them, yes, they will be more able to come out in the open as more of these treaties integrate properly. They have to, the way they were integrated and created, they have to go back the other direction. The more peace is generated on Midgard or on your earthly plane.
It's wild to me because thinking about it fictionally from a Harry Potter framework is one thing, but it's another to think like if I went to London and went to the right place, to the right brick wall, and said the right incantation, I might be able to walk through it into like a slightly tangent dimension or universe.
Yes, you are correct, Brian. This actually, J.K. Rowling was actually doing some challenge, just like your J.R.R. Tolkien did for Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of parallels. He was actually channeling some of his higher self and other expressions through history, not just himself when he was reporting on his World War One history, like Battle of the Somme being Helm's Deep, but he was reporting on the Tuatha versus Fomorian Orion wars in Ireland during the times of Atlantis and further on in history. He was writing what his actual elven self, Gildor, who he mentions and honors within the Fellowship of the Ring, the book. That was actually his one of his higher soul expressions. You see, so people do this. They feel they're getting creativity from within, which they are, but they're getting it from their library. And Gildor was part of his library. See, so this is essentially what is going on with these other areas as well.
Well, Cold, you mentioned that as things develop and treaties are fulfilled, with bracket treaty conditions, then does that give the Galactic Federation more and more leeway to assist those of us on the ground? I'm not asking for me personally. I'm asking for a lot of the people who've been targeted in our community. Is more help on? Can we expect any help, or is it more, sorry, but you humans have to figure it out yourselves?
It's actually not necessarily just 50-50. This is more or less, it falls under the phrase, God only helps those who help themselves. In this instance, you are already meeting some of us part of the way, and also you're dealing with both ends of the Galactic Federation. You have all these different councils, as what was discussed before. Some of these different councils have their own bracket treaties, but through these, humans are being ingenuitive enough to find loopholes, not just the deep state or any of them, because some of them are in some of these creepy bracket treaties as well in some areas. But in cases like yourself, yes, you are forming relationships with some of the good aspects out there as well. You're dealing with, there's a lot of hedge betting going on. He calls it the hedge bets of the gods, like what was in antiquity, which is true. That's still going on. But at the same time, yes, by the good groups, they are cheering all of you on. You're not just stuck in the mud just to figure everything out. It is preferred that you get to a particular level, yes. But if you're seen as really trying, yes, you will start to see more and more contact. The forest people are the same way. They want people to be open, calm, and wanting and ready to communicate, you see. So you're going to find that a lot of these different races that are actually thinking about humanity and not just being sock puppets for somebody, you're going to find that those groups are more than happy to extend their hand.
I really greatly appreciate that, and I openly invite that as to whatever spokesperson status I have for our full disclosure community. And I mean, to a person, people down here want more assistance. I mean, we'll take assistance where countering the warfare and targeting that we're undergoing. Like I'll give a shout out. She makes no secret of it. Her name's Linda Mendola. She's actively needing help. If you could actually, she said, I feel free to scan and look into, it seems like she's mysteriously being sexually assaulted many evenings out of a week by invisible men, apparently. And she's showed me pictures of all these bruises all over her body. I've spoken to her roommates, and they attest to this. And it's happened to the one roommate as well, Iris and Linda. Do you have any insight on that, Cold?
Yes, there are aspects of military working with some of these other creepier factions that are out there. She's dealing with two distinct factions in this, and both military, human, and ET, but distinct factions of both of those sets as well. One has a bit of reptilian, and the other one is more eclectic mix, but they're more, let's say, pirate. Let's just say, and not the cool kind either, not the Jack Sparrow kind. I'm talking
Right.
about
Not cool.
they want to gather genetics. They want to, and Isaac, yes, I understand, not in the good way either. I get it. Thank you. Now, with this incident, what the way you fight off things like this,
Mhm.
and you want this put into your subconscious. The reason she has so many bruises is because she keeps fighting. I would say do so and continue along that thread, because of the fact that the more you flail around, the more you act childish, the more you assault them back, the more you push back. they are not going to be able to get what they came for. They're on a very finite schedule a lot of times because of these treaties and other concerns, energetic concerns, dimensional concern. Some can only stay for a limited time. The more you delay them, the more or the less they can take. And the less they take, they are not seen as profitable by their Ferengi benefactors. So that would be the ICC included in that bad trading. They are less likely to get another contract, you see. So the more you fight them, the more, and this goes for your own military, if they try to abduct you and do stuff, do the same thing. They're all on schedules. They basically worship this schedule protocol with the ICC. They have to do it in a certain amount of time or they lose contracts. So with this, the two distinct groups are bound by the same clauses. So with this, I can assist where I can, he can assist where he can, but in this, we're both saying at this point that resist as much as possible and declare your territory sovereign and declare it a temple space. You start to assert yourself or herself. If she hears this, make sure to continue to do those things, even if she does not remember them afterwards. If there is another such incident, not saying that you should co-create such instances, but in this, if that would ever happen again, it is in her mind to continue to resist and resist hard. Normally I would not condone forms of violence in this way, but in this way, this is more of a defense move.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for that. And should we, she's looking for answers. That's very helpful, Cole. I appreciate that. Do you and the Federation have or Valiant Thorn crew have any messages for me? Anything I should know, or any? I'm open to suggestions and requests.
Let's see. Aside from what is said, there is one other that wishes to slide in here. Hang on a moment. No, it will not be used, Isaac. No. So, moment. I was told my presence was required. This is Valiant Thor. I came here at this moment to basically say any suggestions or support. Yes, suggestions in this way. Benjamin Cold spoke of this, but also within these particular treaties that have been established and within your community, make sure as you progress and as you proceed along and you add more and more people to the table, be it either in the council setting or with the conference setting or with any outside shindigs, let's just say, that you do. It is highly suggested that yes, you don't want to do traditional gatekeeping, but a strict vetting process be adhered to energetically, as he said, the true benevolence with no conflicting agendas. Utilize the law of one. This cannot steer you wrong. Where it literally will essentially bounce back any negative intent that they are putting towards anything. You can reword things how you like with this. But with the true benevolence and no conflicting agendas, this assures that certain groups, even if there's yield in there, I adhere to some of the yield. I helped create some of the parameters by which the yield could be expanded upon and then work Earth out of the darkness. That's how I view it. He himself does not view things in this manner, but I'm telling you how I view things. And we want as little friction as possible. I personally want seamless transitions. So with that said, the way you do it is make things seamless, but also don't allow bullying or creepiness either. When you find that centrist, when you find that middle, you will then be able to establish an even further reach with any of the branch or bracket treaties. Do you understand?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's being sometimes it's better to be more neutral and approachable than being outspoken and isolating.
Outspoken is fine. I would recommend in that area, yes, but at the same time, make sure there are times where you not only agree to disagree, at the same time, allowing those their space to, what's the term I'm looking for, vent in that way, but at the same time, don't allow crazy into the circles, if this makes sense.
It does. It does. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sorry. What was that?
Hmm.
I thought I heard something.
You heard
So,
that.
and then Valiant. Uh, I guess. Will you be making an appearance with your craft, or down on the ground, perhaps, beachside with us this July?
I can honestly say yes, but you will probably not know it's me unless I am able to show you that it is me. I usually work through others. It's very rarely that I've shown my actual face. Again, that's who he claims that's I was the basis for Doctor Who. I'm flattered, but there's also a couple templates there. But yes, I can honestly say I was there last year as well. So yes. Oh, and I know I wished he wanted to relay this as well. The sand that is there has a high energetic property. It reacts very much like a salt barrier on a property, so it is good protection material for houses, and neighborhoods and such. The same goes with your Sedona dirt and your dirt from your Valley of Fire in Nevada. And so they have similar properties. As far as cleansings go, he wanted to relay this because he has been using it all over the place here. So this reflects where certain races have also come from. You have your white sands, which some of the Myrmidon have been around quite often. You have your red dirt of your Valley of Fire, which is a power point portal there. That is where Lanielos dimension intersects Midgard. And you have Sedona, which was also an ancient space port and will be again. This these and also the energies and the vortices that are there. So this is why these things have such a very good high quality, aside from their red iron oxide and their silica and their red clay and such. So questions you had?
Not
I,
really
yeah,
more
okay.
of a statement, because I think one of the things, Brian, as we move forward with creating this unity, one of the things, again, when we do the opening and what we're hoping to do, is there's enough time for us to have actually make a statement, do a prayer, but then to also have one of the galactics come through for a greeting on the opening. So we'll be working on that. But in my thought process, I'm being heavily inspired that what we need to do, again, what are our foundational beliefs to this unity? What are our tenets to this unity? So we hope to propose some things for us to all think about. And again, and the importance of when meeting in groups and meeting in different things, I think historically, people have always assumed everyone was coming to the table for the same reason at the same space. And we have to not make that assumption anymore. What we have to do when we have meetings, when groups get together, what we want to encourage is for, again, the opening and these foundational belief systems be reiterated. And again, as we say, benevolence with no conflicting agenda, inviting in that support in order to, again, prove, not a perfection, but the unity of thought and idea. And I think that what part of what you're getting to is to, as I always say, any mischievous, any malevolence that's trying to get in, we are going to actively want that pushed away. We want the benevolence with no conflicting agenda. We want to be able to have the communications and peace, even amongst ourselves. And so, we're going to be urging that, that type of way of thinking about opening any meetings, any work conversations, things like that, that it's done not with an assumption, but with everyone agreeing with an intention, which changes the energies. And that's, you had asked the question earlier, and part of the opening ceremony is to, in agreement, collective unity energy to set the foundation of what the expectations are at the
Mm.
conference and the expectations that, again, benevolent support will be around us, whether we see them truly for who they are or we just know their presence is there, which is a great.
Any of the positive ones for the highest greatest good are all welcome. Valiant or Cold, any of your crew, please feel free to say hi. That'd be quite an honor. I don't have any more questions for Valiant or Cold, but I did want to perhaps give the Untumbans a chance if they wanted to come through, perhaps, because to say
Yes,
anything.
I can briefly pass you over to one of their representatives. Let's see which wish to speak. Excuse a moment. They are familiar with me. They have met me before. They met me in Japan years ago. I will give my name. They know me by two distinct names. One is Takan. The other is Abe no Seme. The one they claim created line magic to defend Kyoto. I'm of the Untumban race. I was an architect at the time that created the barriers between dimensions to keep out of the draconian forces from shattering different fabric of reality and also violating the very treaties. This is in your Elder Scrolls as an actual event within the treatises of the Sigic Order and the Daedric Lords. This is what we were able to pen, as well as what you call the Demon Parade in Kyoto. You had in the Elder Scrolls, they depicted it as a Daedric Lord, Molech Bal, accosting a town with demons and zombies. This was very similar because this happened in Kyoto at the time. This was the seat of my how can I put it? Not school, but the seat of my magical center at the time. Now it's a city like any of the others, but it has a magical centrus. I'm not currently in Kyoto. I am currently on your end of the spectrum, and also will be there at the conference as well. He has requested different barrier magics be put in place geometrically, and who do you call, so to speak? So this I was unfortunately my children in Japan became what you know of as the omnyaji to the different feudal families later on in feudal Japan. A few of them went stray and needed to have the, let's just say, the proverbial shit slapped out of them. But because of the corruptive nature of power corrupting absolutely, let's just say that, and also the toxins in the atmosphere and different energies, influences. I don't completely judge, but there are a few that, yes, I do. But in this instance, do you wish to ask me anything?
Um, can you tell me my relationship to the Untumban people?
Hmm. Aside from being a descendant lineage, of course, you also had an expression with us as a, what's the term? Ambassador is too broad of a term. It is more of a um, kind of like Indrid Cold's searcher seeker type of thing. It is basically the Untumban or our equivalent to this. Uh,
Like freelance representing?
Yes, you can definitely say that. You often said your oversoul often said the freelance or an independent contractor. Let's just put it that way. You would call humans would call it this. There's more. There's a broader term for it, but independent contractor is the closest definition or the closest ranking. So this is also you have Untumban guards close by. You would see them as samurai as well. The armor they have protects them from not only dangers of different foes, but also toxins as well. They sit within a frequency fairly close to your own, as do I. But you would say it's not necessarily numbered dimensions like 3D, 4D, 5D. This is more of like an encompassing frequency then by which then still surrounds your own, even if it's a few frequency dials, maybe left or right to the Midgardian point or frequency.
A phase shift.
A phase shift, yes. This is what some of your military Kabbalistic factions learned, and that's how they were able to mimic it. Also, time travel with your Montauk project is more like a phase dial going to different timelines and areas as well. They learned this from both the chair bilocating as well as with physical time travel. With us, this is a frequency we never left. It is actually other humans that did so. After the shattering of that was Atlantis and Babel. There was a shattering that stretched across the dimensions. There was atomic and nuclear weaponry abroad. We are abhorrent to this type of tech as well being used. In the Galactic Federation, it's actually quite illegal to use atomic weaponry and atomically based anything. There are other power sources, excuse me, that are being used out there that are much cleaner, much safer, very much like your Star Trek and your engine cores. Some are antimatter based. There's other safer methods being even looked at, even as I'm speaking now. But it's very much similar to your Star Trek, where they had a cleaner engine versus in your Voyager, the Malons that had the nuclear waste that they were throwing into other people's dimensions, and they had this big Thadon radiation garbage that came out of it. Somebody was making a point against nuclear technology. This was actually based on a real race that they showed in the Delta Quadrant in Voyager that was actually making a mess of things out there. You also had your Orions that came from a version of the multiverse of humanity in the multiverse that actually was more into nuclear and negative AI-based technology. This also is where your Oppenheimer and Einstein learned some of it. They got the echoes through history from Atlantis and Lemurian War time frame when they were channeling it. The bad guys were that you called them wanted them to learn this more. So this is why some of your Solar Warden and them carry nuclear missiles aboard the ships. Because of these, some of your New Schwabenlanders also managed to channel some of the information surrounding this as well. Your Maria Orsic and those that channeled the beings of Aldebaran were those that pulled in some of this information. This is why others felt it necessary to beat Hitler against the clock with the nuclear bomb. But to a happier note, my people are quite plentiful. You spoke of one of mine earlier, of someone you spoke to, speaks to one of my kind, very prolifically and very fluently. And we tend to guard very heavily the island country of Japan. This was the country we seeded upon the earth in the times of the Great Seeding. I was not around then, at least in this particular form, but my brethren definitely were. And also that bridge that just goes to nowhere off the island country of Japan, that was a bridge over to ancient Lemuria, the Antumban island country, and also Mu, Lemuria were all connected at one time. Even your Vancouver Island was part of this. This is why your forest people covet that, and the state of Washington quite prolifically, and parts of British Columbia. Your state of Arizona was part of Lemuria, and so were parts of your California and Mexico. But with this also your Easter Island, Marquesas, and others. But with this, the point I am making is the reason there is such a large representation of people here today. This is what this community looks like. We are in full favor of this form of unity. I step forward to answer this call because of the protection magic, as we've said, or as I've said, the line magic that they attribute to me. All I did was basically declare this line not crossable. You can't cross this line. You can't cross this line. Very much like some of your Looney Tunes cartoons saying you can't step over this one. You can't step over this one. That's essentially what I did. And basically dared them to step over one, and then they fell into the imaginary hole. So this is essentially the kind of thing I pulled, but less humorous. It is because back then, the demon parade thing was actually quite real and quite scary two people are descended lineage, so I had to actually step up to the plate and borderline almost violate certain treaties. This is also where some ancient forms of the bracket or branch treaties came into play. Something was needed to be able to intervene in a pinch, and also what they call the whole fireman policeman concept, where when they were over in Japan, saw these samurai that were around that were policing different areas of Japan and also in other parts of the world where they were running into different beings. They showed them being on patrol, or even an occasional Ronin, one of my people, would go through the United States or Canada or Mexico or other places. These are people answering the call of actually helping out. Now, we aren't able to always do it. The forest people want to emphasize this as well. We're not able to always do this, but we notice that if there is a big enough need, we were able to rally resources. It is no different than, say, your fireman or policeman. It's just that I don't want to say our hands are tied. That is the wrong choice of words. That sounds more like a binding spell, in my opinion. In this instance, we can help people, but if their oversoul is basically saying there is a path to fulfill, even though their oversoul can become infected by other dark expressions to the multiverse, we clearly can view this and see if the oversoul is supposed to accomplish something, and then we will sometimes be able to help them accomplish this goal, if this makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I was going to ask, I contacted in the desert. I got this piece from uh, uh, Anthony Mickle, or no, Josh Sisler. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And I was wondering if you're able to comment on its origins or the message, or because you have access to information that we don't have down here.
Hmm. Yes. He is, since his eyes cannot see this. What
Right.
is this?
Oh, yeah, I'm holding up it's a stone with like a little kind of like alien head bust on it, and it's the shape of like a triangle roughly, and it's probably several thousand years old.
Hmm.
As if
Yes,
you could,
from the artifact bunch. Yes, yes. So these are depicting a part of your history, not only of the wartime history of the Orions and the Orion Codex, but the that of times where different factions how can I put this, were drawing their lines in the sand. And different races from different parts of the multiverse as well were drawing their temporal lines in the sand. A long time ago, see, there was a war of the timelines, a temporal war, and the Orions felt it necessary to rewrite the cosmos and the multiverse in their own image. You have the what you know of as the Yggdrasil tree of the different timelines. You also have the void that binds them, and you have the different people and the beings from the different timelines. That particular artifact is a resonating, how can I put this in your language? A resonating tip to this, or this particular piece. It resonates not only that event in history, like you would take a photograph and capture the energy of a moment in history. This is essentially this depicts some of the beings that existed during the times of this contention. And I myself, I was witness to some of these artifacts. Some of these things were placed in different timelines at different points in history as well. Some of them are anchors that stay in a place no matter what, but they're in a different frequency. This is why they were not found previous to intersecting a timeline that is on a particular frequency wavelength. People walked right past them and did not realize that they were there at all. But once they got into a particular frequency where these historical anchors could be seen, then they could be dug up and looked at. Now, some are reflecting an energy that does not need to be in your temporal space. Others do. It just depends on which timeline they originate from and which contentious point in history they originate from, or which peacetime they originate from. But they are depicting elements of an actual history. This is why this alien history has been made known to you.
excellent. Thank you for that answer. I was wondering then, does it have any effects on me, or is it more of like a memento keepsake anchoring in the timeline?
In this instance, there are artifacts like the other pyramid that was presented that would unfortunately transform DNA. This piece is not necessarily affecting you in that particular fashion. There is only one or two pieces amongst all those artifacts that have once had the ability to rewrite someone's DNA. The pyramid with the two rings does.
Oh yeah, that Sean and Isha have.
Yes, I would highly discourage the rewriting of DNA.
Right, so don't wear the rings.
Yes, do not wear the rings. It is highly discouraged. But do not try to reactivate this either. It is not necessarily completely possible because it required two other pieces to it. That piece that you have is almost inert, but at the same time was meant to be seen as a photograph by the rest of humanity. With the pyramid, it should sit in a museum somewhere surrounded by red cloth and material with line magic surrounding. Then you can present it more to the world, if this makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, I just wanted to say, for me, I pledge my support to my incumbent friends and the Cold and Valiant Thor and crew for the highest, greatest good of humanity. Feel free to appear to me, especially at my conference. Make yourselves known. In addition to the conference series, we're launching a whole platform and cryptocurrency and app, as you may have heard. We will use um, all that apparatus to advance the full disclosure movement and to so we can hasten the day that we can have open contact with our brothers and sisters.
Mm. Yes, this is actually, we are looking forward to this as well. This is why we are helping hasten these particular efforts. I must detach from his physical body as at this moment in time. His nervous system is actually
Oh
not
yeah,
allowing for this bonding. So at this moment, so I thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. It has been a long time since we have spoken, since 2019, since we were in Japan. We notice now that it is a time of a gathering. So I was able to serve as once again to speak. Not that I'm a prophesied being or any crap like that. I am just saying they're trying to say I was too cryptic and prophetical in my language. I had to correct myself. To be more plain, let's just say. So I don't sound like a mystical warrior from the ancient past of some kind, even though I could possibly be. So I will leave it here. So thank you for having me.
thank you, sir.
Oh. Yeah, he is right. We did meet him in Japan years ago. We ran into him, and Abe no Seimei is actually considered to be one of their prophets. And his actual architect name is Tekon, but I believe I don't know if that's his last name. I think it's more like Sting. It's like one name there. That's what Isaac said. He's like Sting or Bono. He has one name. Okay, but Abe no Seimei eventually gave rise to his children, who became, and his grandchildren who became the Omniagi or wizards of Japan. That unfortunately were on different sides of feudal Japan eventually, but they became kind of a mini cabal at that time. So he was basically saying Earth energies and also power corrupting got to them after a while. But he goes, young people and they're in being influenced, like just like now. He just said so.
Getting corrupted, people getting corrupted by the promise of power, easy money, fame,
Yeah.
fortune, blah, blah, blah. And to
Mhm.
some people, at any cost, sure, that sounds good.
Mhm. And the feudal clans and family clans in feudal Japan were because of the Onmyagis. So that's what he explained to us then too when we were in Japan. That he said, "Sorry, it was my family. I didn't mean that." That kind of thing. So it's been that long since 6 years since we've heard from it. So yeah, so this is actually quite awesome. This was a great one today. We probably should close it out here soon. I don't know what else you want to add to this, Brian. This has been wonderful.
Well, please go to fulldisclosuremovement.org, all one word, to get your passes and to book your hotel stays so you can see Christopher and Joanna and myself and everyone, many people we've discussed tonight. And that's the main thing. I hope to see all of you there in July.
Yes, and we are looking forward to this as well. By the time you see this, it's probably going to be a couple weeks after we've filmed it. So Joanna, I don't know if you have anything to add before I close
No.
this circle out.
Very
Okay,
interesting.
very, very interesting. So I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you everybody for watching this episode. We really enjoyed it. So thank you and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.